He's said to breathe fire and have massive metallic claws. He can leap over buildings and across wide expanses of land. He targets young women in the night, and some say he comes from hell itself. Welcome to the Crafty Cryptid, a channel dedicated to the dark, the strange, and the mysterious. If you enjoy this type of content, subscribe and ding the notification bell. I post multiple times a week. Now then, settle in with a cup of hot chocolate and a cozy blanket while we dive into the mystery of the cryptid known as Spring-Heeled Jack. Jane Alsop was an innocent girl who only wanted to assist the police. When one of them knocked on her father's door at night, asking her to bring a torch to the alley where they had supposedly caught the demon known as Spring-Heeled Jack, she eagerly went with the officer, carrying a small candle in her hands. Unfortunately for Jane, this was no officer, but rather Spring-Heeled Jack himself. The moment she handed him the candle, he threw off the cloak, and according to Jane, quote, presented a most hideous and frightful appearance, unquote. Vomiting blue and white flame from his mouth, while his eyes resembled red balls of fire, he wore a large helmet, and his tight-fitted clothes resembled white oilskin. Without saying a word, he caught hold of her and began tearing her gown with his claws, which she was certain were, quote, of some metallic substance, unquote. She screamed for help and managed to get away from him and ran towards the house. He caught her on the steps and tore her neck and arms with his claws. She was rescued by one of her sisters, after which the assailant fled. Only 9 days later, 18-year-old Lucy Scales would become his next victim. But scratches and torn clothing wouldn't be her fate. Lucy and her sister were walking home one evening from their brother's shop when they approached a cloak-wearing individual along Green Dragon Alley. As they neared him, the assailant turned on the two girls and spurted, quote, a quantity of blue flame in Lucy's face. She was so surprised, terrified, and blinded by this fire that Lucy immediately dropped to the ground and convulsed in violent fits, which continued for several hours. Her brother heard her screams and chased after the two girls. When he came upon them, the suspect had vanished. Lucy lay in the street, convulsing in her sister's arms. She was taken home, and he then learned from his other sister what had happened. She described Lucy's assailant as being of tall, thin, and gentlemanly appearance, covered in a large cloak, and carrying a small lamp or bullseye lantern similar to those used by the police. The individual did not speak, nor did he try to lay hands on them, but instead walked quickly away. Every effort was made by the police to discover the author of these and similar outrages, and several persons were questioned, but were set free. "1838 was the year of these two most notable attacks, but the legend of Spring-Heeled Jack goes back prior to an October 1837 account by a girl named Mary Stevens. Mary worked as a servant in Lavender Hill. While walking to work one night, a strange figure leapt at her from the darkness. He wrapped his arms around her so tightly that she could not escape, and began kissing all over her face. When she tried to escape, his metallic claws ripped and shredded at her clothes. Mary screamed, which made her attacker flee when he realized several residents had come out to hunt him down. Only one day later would the same dark character be spotted. Spring-heeled Jack leapt in front of a passing carriage, causing the coachman to lose control, crash, and severely injure himself. Several witnesses claimed that Jack escaped by jumping over a 9-foot or 2.7 meter high wall, while cackling with a high-pitched, ringing laughter. Gradually, the news of this strange character spread, and this is when he would be given his name of Spring-Heeled Jack. The stories of Jack continued for nearly 50 years, leading some to speculate that Jack might have had copycats, while others think he was a demon from hell, and therefore immortal and young forever. The last account that has been attributed to Spring-Heeled Jack occurred in the late 19th century, when Jack was supposedly spotted springing from church rooftops. Interestingly, though Jack had been a specifically English folklore tale, his influence seems to have leaked out of the UK and into other countries. In Prague, a creature known as Perák, the Spring Man of Prague, was reported to have been seen in Czechoslovakia around 1939 to 1945 during the Second World War. Unlike Jack, however, Perák went on to become a folklore hero and even starred in several superhero cartoons. Spring-Heeled Jack has not been spotted in the UK since his late 19th century appearance, but the spirit of his urban legend is still alive in many works of fiction, including the video game Assassin's Creed Syndicate, where he appears as an antagonist. So, what do you think? Was Spring-Heeled Jack just some crazy assaulter who dressed up like a demon? Did he actually breathe fire? Or was this all a massive hoax? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. To be updated when I post next, subscribe and ding the notification bell. Leave a thumbs up and a comment if you liked this content. Thanks for watching, and come back soon, Cryptids.